Today, we're going to be looking at some of the most popular $400 ANC headphones out there right now. We've got the Bose NC 700s, the Sennheiser Momentum 3s, and the Bowers and Wilkins PX7s. Now, all three of these headphones are very different from one another, and depending on your needs, one is definitely going to be better than the other, may it be performance-wise or even fit-wise. So, let's see which one's right for you. So, like I just said, all three of these headphones retail for $400, which is a lot, but when you're paying upwards of $400 on a pair of headphones, one of their biggest selling points is their use of finer materials. If you want to pick any of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below, and if you want to learn more about any of these headphones, please watch their full reviews, because we're only going to be going over the main differences here. Now, the first thing I want to quickly touch on here are the carrying cases. Plainly said, I'm not a fan of the Momentum 3's carrying case. It's big and it's also a soft shell case instead of a hard shell case. Now, the PX7s come included with a very hard shell case, which is great. But if you do plan on traveling a lot with your headphones, I think you'll be better off with the Bose, because their case is slightly smaller and slightly slimmer. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the main selling points of paying $400 on a pair of ANC headphones is because they generally have better build quality and use finer materials than, let's say, the super popular Sony 1000 XM3s, which retail for $350 and are all plastic. Personally, I think the Momentum 3s have the best build quality here because the real sheepskin leather used on their ear pads and headband just feels the most luxurious here. Add to the fact that they've got this exposed stainless steel arms, these headphones just feel super sturdy but luxurious at the same time. Now, a very close second here are the PX7s. They also have great build quality and feel very sturdy, and I absolutely love their carbon fiber arms. But their ear pads and headband just feel very plasticky, so that's why they come in second. And then there's the Bose NC 700s, whose leatherette ear pads feel almost as good as the ear pads found on the Momentum 3s. But compared to these other two headphones, the NC 700s just don't feel as sturdy or as overall premium. But the Bose NC 700s are the lightest headphones here, weighing in at 263 grams, which plays a big role in overall comfort. Because for comparison, the Momentum 3s weigh in at 305 grams, and the PX7s weigh in at 310 grams. And personally, whenever I'm looking for a pair of headphones to use for long periods of time or to travel with, lighter is always better. And I do think the majority of people will find the NC 700s to be comfortable enough to wear. Now, all three of these headphones have very spacious ear cups, and they should all have no problem fitting people who have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot. But if you have a bigger head like I do, then you'll be better off with the Sennheisers because they have the least amount of clamping force here. Whereas the PX7s are the tightest fitting headphones here, and they're not big head approved. So fit-wise, the Sennheisers are a good option for people with bigger heads. The Bose should fit most people just fine. And then there's the PX7s, which are better for people with smaller heads. Now, when it comes to tech specs, all three of these headphones charge via a USB-C port, as they should. But unfortunately, the Sennheiser Momentum 3s have the worst performing battery life here. They have an advertised battery life of 17 hours, which is poor to begin with, but with real-world use, I get more like 14 hours out of them. So with my kind of usage, I can only go about 4 days in between charges with these headphones. Whereas the NC 700s have an advertised battery life of 20 hours, and I can go a week in between charges with them. But then there's the PX7s, which have an advertised battery life of 30 hours, but under the same usage conditions, they last just as long as the NC 700s. So basically, if battery life is a really big deal to you, I say stay away from the Sennheisers. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, all three of these headphones are rocking Bluetooth 5.0, and they can all be connected to two devices at the same time, which is always great for power users. But when it comes to audio codecs, that's where the Bowers and Wilkins PX7s reign supreme. They have aptX adaptive support, which is the latest and greatest from Qualcomm, but they also have aptX HD and your classic aptX support. Whereas the Momentum 3s have aptX and aptX low latency support, And then there's the Bose NC700s, which only have AAC support. Now, if you're an iPhone user, aptX support doesn't really matter to you. But if you're an Android user, you probably want to know what higher quality audio codecs are available to you. But also, both the USB-C ports on the Momentum 3s and PX7s can be used as a wired connection, whereas the USB-C port on the Bose can only be used for charging. If you're an Android user who insists on always having a wired connection, then both of these headphones give you more options, especially if your new Android device doesn't have an audio jack or even come with a dongle. But now let's talk about listening to music with these headphones, because all three of these headphones have their own unique characteristics. The Bose NC700s have the most neutral sounding sound signature here. Vocalists and mids are very front and center, and you hear a decent amount of bass. But you don't actually feel the bass on these headphones. The bass on these headphones doesn't actually kick against your head. That's why some people think that Bose headphones don't have bass at all, because they're not actually feeling it. All in all, the NC700s sound good, but they're not all that fun to listen to. Then there's the PX7s, which personally are my favorite sounding headphones here, mainly because of their super wide soundstage and incredible instrument separation. But like the Bose, you don't actually feel the bass on these headphones, you just hear it. Now, I know this might sound a little weird, but when you're listening to bass-heavy music and the bass really gets going, you hear that bass and you hear a lot of it, but the headphones themselves don't actually rattle your head, or they don't rattle your head that much. But like I said in the full review, if you want to get the best sound quality out of the PX7s, you gotta use them with their ANC turned off. And then there's the Momentum 3s, which put an emphasis on the vocals and mids like the Bose NC700s, but they actually have a good amount of bass that resonates nicely and that can actually be felt. I think that out of all three of these headphones, the Momentum 3s are the crowd pleasers here, and they're also the only headphones here that have an adjustable EQ. But personally, I think they sound best with their default EQ setting. And besides, personally, I think Sennheiser's EQ is a little confusing to use. But also, something I want to address really quickly here are the media controls on these headphones. The Bose NC700s have a touchpad. Besides it being a rather small touchpad, it's fairly accurate after you get used to it. But if you're someone that prefers physical buttons, then the PX7 and Momentums have your back. But personally, I prefer the buttons on the PX7 over the Momentums because they're located in a more natural spot, they're easier to tell apart, and they have much better tactile feedback. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. As you'd expect, the Bose NC700s have the best overall performing active noise cancellation here. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. Like you may have just seen, the Momentum 3s have the worst performing ANC here. They block out a considerable amount of road noise, but when it comes to chatter, they don't stand a chance. Now, the NC700s clearly managed to block out more road noise than the PX7, but surprisingly, the PX7s managed to block out a little more chatter than the Bose. But all in all, the Bose NC700's active noise cancellation is overall superior for a few key reasons. First off, the Bose have noticeably less cabin pressure than the PX7s do. The Bose also do a much better job of blocking out wind noise when used outdoors. But more importantly, the ANC on the Bose doesn't really change how these headphones sound, unlike the PX7, whose soundstage really gets narrowed when their ANC is turned on. So if active noise cancellation is a big deal to you, then you're simply better off with the Bose in this lineup. But also, the Bose NC700 have the best performing ambient mode here. You can actually adjust how much ambient sound you want to let in, unlike the Sennheisers where you can only have ambient mode turned on or off. And the PX7s don't actually even have an ambient mode similar to what the Sennheisers and Bose have, which is a huge drawback in my opinion. And for those who may not know, having an ambient mode on a pair of headphones is rather crucial these days because it allows you to still be aware of your surroundings when you're walking around the city, or you can do what I do and have ambient mode turned on when you're watching a movie at home, so that if someone calls your name, you can still hear them. But finally, there's the microphone on these headphones for phone calls. I think the PX7s have the worst sounding microphone here because it sounds very shallow and very muffled. The microphone on the Sennheisers isn't all that much better because there's a lot of amplification going on here. So clearly the Bose NC 700s have the best sounding microphone here for phone calls, which honestly shouldn't come to as a surprise to anyone because even the older Bose QC35s have a decent sounding microphone. So overall, when it comes to choosing between one of these headphones, it all comes down to your needs. The Bose NC 700s offer the best overall experience for your daily commuter or constant flyer who really depends on decent active noise cancellation, and then turn on ambient mode so that they can be alert while they're sitting in an airport terminal, or so that they can still hear their name when they're working at their desk at the office. But personally, I think that if you're looking for the best sounding headphones here, then the Bowers and Wilkins PX7 are the way to go because of their soundstage and instrument separation. But also, if you're an Android user, you'll be one of the first people to try out aptX Adaptive. But like I mentioned earlier, these headphones do fit pretty tight, so they're not for everyone. But if you have a bigger head, then a great sounding alternative are the Sennheiser Momentum 3s. These headphones also sound great, but their active noise cancellation is pretty weak, and so is their battery life. But for some weird reason, I can't stop raving about the leather on these headphones. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.